abortion and AI, two topics that I think a lot of people would like to know where I stand on. Let's start with abortion, just because it's kind of more self-explanatory. Being a Christian, obviously, I'm against abortion and pretty much all manners. Um, unless it's like the baby had health complications and it's already like not alive inside the mother, which very rarely happens. But if that is the case, obviously, then it's not ending the life of the child. It's more of removing the dead child from the mother. And other than that, um, I'm kind of torn on the whole, you know, if the mother's life is at risk. Because on one hand, I could understand why women would then want to remove the child because then, without the mother, if she has other children, those children are going to grow up without a mother. But as well as like a parent's duty is to lay their life down for their children. So I'm a bit torn on that. Maybe I would allow it, maybe not. But for the most part, really, the only exception would be that. So, if all the people always love to use the example. Oh, what if an 11-year-old got raped? It's like, okay, bro. And what if North Korea decides to launch a nuclear missile at us? It's like, you know, and it's like, look, yes, does it happen? Yes, but it's very fucking rare. It doesn't it's not happening every Monday. You know what I mean? It's not happening every other day. It's a very rare occurrence, and actually, I would say we can do things to even lower the times it does happen, like having stricter punishments or slash more harsh punishments for people who do things like that. So we can decrease the probability of that happening even more simply by reinforcing the laws that are in place currently. So for those weird 1 in a million cases, right? No, they won't have an exception either, right? And same thing if it's a family relation, right? If it's a mother and son, father and daughter, right? Uncle and cousin, like if it's some incestual shit, no, again, that baby's life still matters, right? And if you say it doesn't, well then you're building a case for eugenics. Okay? If you're saying an incestual baby's life doesn't matter because it's born of incest, then you could say a baby's life doesn't matter because their mother was drinking and they're probably going to have some mental and physical side effects from their mother's drinking. So like you're literally building a case for eugenics, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to do that. So ergo, yeah, there would be no exceptions again, besides maybe if the mother's life is at risk, and I'm still torn on that as well. But and as well as in particular, being a Catholic, I am against like contraceptives in general, right? I wouldn't outlaw them. I wouldn't outlaw them even as emperor because, again, I need to keep the country unified and focus on bigger things. Would I want to outlaw contraceptives? Maybe in the future, but we have much more important things to get a hold of, right? At least for the foreseeable future, like once I become emperor, then if people are out here still committing sin and having casual intercourse, like there's bigger things to worry about, right? Backdoor business, like backdoor deals I have to get to the bottom of. I have to root out all this corruption, cut down government, reduce people's taxes. Like I have so much more shit to do while keeping the system afloat that than to worry about something like banning contraceptives. Of course, I would want to eventually, once everything was settled, America is stabilized, all these fucking government agencies have been reduced and downsized. Eventually, yeah, sure, maybe. But not currently. And if you're wondering why I'm against contraceptives in general, it's because it allows you to commit the sin without any consequences. So, for example, with condoms, well, you're still gonna do it because now there's something that allows you to do it while reducing the chance of pregnancy, right? Which is the condom. Same thing with birth control pills. women are still going to have intercourse because the birth control pill allows them to, in a manner in which she doesn't have to face the consequences of her actions. So in general, that's why, I believe the Catholic Church as well as Catholics are against these things, because they're a way to allow the sin to happen regardless, right? So yeah, and I agree with their ideology. I'm also anti IVF and all other forms of that manner. I think that is getting too close to the line of playing God, choosing specifically, how tall your child's going to be, what their mindset's going to be. Like I think once you get down to that point, it's playing God and it shouldn't be allowed. So I would not allow IVF. I'd completely cancel any and all of those things. Um, and yeah, and so what do I say to the people who are, infertile or, can't have children? Hey, man, you better pray to God. You better pray to God that, He restores your fertility or something. But other than that, man, you're not having children. You're cooked. I mean, hey, you can adopt. You could always adopt. But yeah, you having your own children not happening. Sorry, but so AI. Yeah, I'm getting rid of it. I'm getting rid of all of it, right? No new data centers are being built, and all the ones who are currently being built, we're gonna put all of it on hold. I'm gonna shut down countless AI servers. Um, Basically Claude, Grok, all of these are up for being shut down, all of them, because it's ridiculous. We're using up Lord knows how much fucking water on these things, and it's like porn. The more you use it, the more negative consequences it has on your brain. And quite frankly, it's not worth it. It's not worth sacrificing all of this water, which is a much more valuable resource than whatever the hell this AI slop these bots produce. Like it's not worth it, right? I would keep some sense of it alive, right? For like government programs or very specific medical programs like running tests on drugs or any new developmental things we may have in the works, but really limited use of AI overall. Essentially, the public isn't going to have access to be asking AI retarded questions like, hey, ChatGPT, how much protein should I be eating? It's like, bro, how about you just Google that instead of asking an AI bot? You know what I mean? Like, you're using up fucking water for that. And that might seem bad to some people, but quite frankly, all think about this. It's gonna boost the economy, right? AI boosts the economy. Not really, because it's going to destroy countless jobs. But not only that, think about how much water it's going to take. So any nation that is pro AI, me as emperor, I'm gonna let them be pro AI. And as they're draining their own water reserves, right? Because they're so focused on increasing their GDP, which by the way, I don't give a fuck about GDP, So once I become emperor, my GDP numbers are probably gonna be fucking atrocious. But I don't care about GDP; it's retarded. Um, but anyways, they're focused on increasing their country's value and how much shit they can produce and blah blah blah. And then in like 10, 20 years, when their country is running low on water, if it even lasts that long, um, they're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have water issues. And that's something I want to avoid for America. In Michigan, my home state, they're trying to build a bunch of fucking data centers because we have the Great Lakes. I don't want the Great Lakes water to be burnt through to cool down a bunch of fucking useless AI data centers, right? Like it's not worth it in any sense of the word. We don't need them. They're a waste of not only the resources, the labor we put into them, but then again, they become a drain on society. They make people dumber. They take away jobs. It's just ridiculous. We don't need it. We don't need AI. Okay, it's retarded. And flock as well. All those flock cameras, they're being pulled down, right? A matter of fact, as emperor, um, I would make it legal. Like, hey, if you see a flock camera, if you want to just help me accelerate this process, you just want to take it down and have it be your own, and scrap it for all the valuables inside. Be my guest. Be my guest. Take down the flock camera and have at it. Right? Like, because it's like, why are we having AI spy on our citizens? Again, we're losing more and more rights. People are going to say, oh, the founding fathers would be disgusted at the thought of an emperor. It's like, well, the founding fathers would be also disgusted at how America is today. There is no privacy. Their rights are constantly being violated. Like, if you could bring any of the founding fathers back alive today and you show them how restrictive guns are in the United States of America, they would be disgusted. So would they be disgusted at an emperor being, holding power? Yeah, but they would understand once you showed them where America is today. So regardless, yeah. Um, all those cameras, if you want to take what's valuable inside of them, take it, man. Just bring them all down. Let's see here. More justice as well for cops. Like, a lot of it's mainly older cops too. Like, a lot of older cops truly are on the field just because they've had years of experience, but a lot of them end up committing shit that the city will then have to pay for, right? Like, they end up costing the city and the people, their representatives, a bunch of fucking money in taxes, right? When private citizens sue the police department. So instead of allowing these officers to, I think for those cases when it involves police officers, I'm gonna have to review the footage, or at least have assigned someone to review like the footage, and then we're gonna determine whether that officer is granted immunity or not, right? So that way, because it's ridiculous that these officers can never be really held accountable. When someone tries to sue them, they don't really sue the individual police officer. They don't sue the police officer individually, right? So it costs a shit ton of taxes to make up for the mistakes of these police officers. So I'm gonna review the footage, or people I assign to review the footage, and if they are found to not be acting lawfully, then yes, we will not be paying, taxpayers will not be paying for the faults of these police officers. They will be sued, they will be held accountable, and they will be responsible for their actions. So they will have to pay out any damages that occur um, for their actions, because we, the taxpayers, shouldn't be burdened on these police officers' actions. And again, it depends on what they did, right? I will view the footage, or people I have put in place to review the footage. So it all depends, right? It's gonna be going on a case by case basis. Don't think it's just like a complete strip of immunity for all the officers. No, that's ridiculous. I'm a big fan of police. It's just they don't do their job correctly, and there has to be consequences for that. Since I've basically covered what I wanted to say with abortion and AI, let's kind of go off tangent and talk about race war. A race war. Look, these blacks, and it's particularly of America, they're always wanting violence. That's the only way they really resolve anything, is with violence. And the most recent case of them, being angry at something or someone, was that Asian store owner who shot the, what was it, 14-year-old boy who was hiding a firearm on him, and it slipped out while he was grabbing some water bottles. The Asian store owner shot him, and then the black people were essentially rioting, um, posting all kinds of shit on the internet, saying, "Oh, we're not angry enough. We need to boycott Asian businesses. We need to start hating Asians." All this ridiculousness, and in fact, that store owner's store was actually looted and robbed. So it's like these people always want problems, right? Especially with like Carmelo Anthony. That case is still going on. The guy who stabbed Austin Metcalf, for an all Austin told him to do was move. Like, hey, this is for our schools. This is our school's tent. You can't be here. What does Carmelo Anthony do to Austin Metcalf? He stabs him. Just fucking stabs him for simply asking him to move away from, you know, their school's tent. Um, and you know what what black people are trying to say? Oh, well, the blade was only what 3.5 inches. You know, they're trying to essentially say that, oh, it wasn't deep enough, or, well, at least this is what his defense is claiming. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, so because the blade wasn't fucking 7 inches long, it's not deadly enough. Like, it's fucking retarded. And honestly, this might be another straw, not necessarily the straw that breaks the camel's back, but another straw of pushing people's patience to their limits, right? Because there was a similar case, at least with what the defense is trying to spin. There was a similar case in, like, I forget the specific country in Europe, but there was a girl who was being R-worded, sexually assaulted, and essentially, the lawyer for who was defending the guy who did it, allegedly. Well, no, there is no allegedly. He did do it, but essentially, it didn't last long enough. The assault didn't last long enough. Therefore, you couldn't actually technically call it rape, which is what they're trying to do here with this Austin Metcalf case. Is like, oh, well, the knife wasn't long enough. It's like, it's still a knife. What are we arguing here? Your Honor, I didn't sexually assault that woman. I was just putting the tip in. It's like, what are we trying to say here? It's ridiculous. A fair warning to the black community. Look, man, you don't want a race war. Okay, you're only 13% of the population in America, and if you think only the whites are gonna be like unaliving you, you're retarded. It's not just the whites. It's the Hispanics. It's the Asians. Hell, even the goddamn Indians are gonna be getting their pound of flesh against you. You don't want a race war. I'm telling you, you don't want it. Okay? And trust me, it's not. Again, why? Why exactly? Because the only way you solve your problems is by killing these people. And this is exactly why, as emperor, I want to just deport these. I want to just send them back to Africa where they belong, because they will always be like this. They will always be very tribal. They will always want to resolve things with violence. There's a reason why Africa was very underdeveloped, and specifically Sub-Saharan Africa. It's because all they resort to is violence. I mean, hell, even the natives could put their differences aside between the tribes and their lands when it came to siding with the European man, siding with the white man, right? Because they understood, like, hey, man, a lot of our people are dying. So how about we try to make a deal with these Europeans so that our tribe may live, right, and continue on. Not the Africans though. To this day, the Africans are still being violent towards each other, right? It's ridiculous. It's all their people know is violence. And I'll make a whole separate video, like maybe talking about the black community. It's kind of boring, really. It's the same excuse, right? The blacks always have the same excuse. It's like the feds invaded our communities. They put drugs and this, that, and the third. It's like, look, man. Even before the feds did that, right? And it is true. The feds did involve themselves a lot with the African American community, right, and their neighborhoods and shit like that. But it's like, look, man, at some point there's got to be some accountability. Okay, there just has to be, right? No one forced your people to sell those drugs to your people. No one forced you to act violent after listening to rap music. A bunch of people listen to rap music. Does that mean everybody who listens to rap music is violent? No. Because again, they don't let themselves be influenced by what they hear. I mean, bro, we nuked Japan twice and they recovered in 80 years. You've been in this country, and a lot of black people are still demanding reparations and all this other nonsense for the fact that they were never slaves. Like, you were never a slave. Maybe your great great grandparent, or even further back than that, were slaves, but you aren't. Okay, you have the same opportunity as everybody else. So if you're still going to be sitting there bitching in your Section 8 housing, which is provided for by the taxpayers, you have no right to say you want reparations. They give them to you on a daily basis. Like, you get them every day. Especially if you're on welfare, if you're on EBT. Who do you think pays a majority of the taxes in this country? The white man. So the white man is inherently kind of like, not directly, but they kind of are paying reparations because blacks are a net negative when it comes to taxes. They take more from the system than they contribute. So, I mean, they've kind of already been paying reparation. I'm going to just wrap up with saying this. Like, it's never enough, right? These people and these apologists, right? These white apologists say, oh, well, we need to invest more into black communities. We need to help them out even more. It's like, no, bro, no. They don't want to learn. They don't want to actually achieve anything in life. They just want to be victims and say, I can't get ahead because it's the white man and shit. It's the white man holding me back, dog. It's like, just shut the fuck up, okay? Because Asians come into this country. The Asians were also very oppressed, right? I believe the Japanese were, especially during, World War II, or in that time frame, they were being heavily, criticized and had laws against them. And they're still doing fine today, right? Like, it's ridiculous, bro. And then they want to say, like, oh, we were slaves. Everyone was a slave at some point in time, okay, man? Just stop bitching, honestly. So yeah, as emperor, I would get rid of a lot of them. I'd reduce the black population in America from 13%, ideally, down to like 2%. Maybe a quarter of a percentage, right? Because realistically, we really only need the good ones. And how many good ones are there, right? Like, how many good ones are there? I don't know, but we can definitely, at the very least, get rid of a lot of them. We can definitely reduce, if not, to the ideal numbers of 1% or 2%, we can at least reduce it by 10%, maybe 8, right? Bring it down from 2-digit percentage of the U.S. population to at least single digit. And just for the last time, I'm not just gonna reduce the blacks population. It's also the Hispanics. It's also the Asians. Like, America should be a majority white country. The fact that it's slipping is, quite frankly, frightening. As a non-white, it's frightening because, again, whites pay the majority of taxes in this country. If they become the minority, what do you think is going to happen to the taxpayers who are funding our tax programs? It's going to suffer. And I'll end on this note, because I just keep going into side tangents. The blacks, again, they're the biggest problematic community in this nation. Last year, I believe it was November, the whole EBT crisis, when the government shutdown was happening, they said that they were going to be stealing, that they were going to be, they didn't care if their EBT wasn't funded because they were still going to eat regardless. And they were going to steal from Walmart and other, grocery chains. And if you tried to stop them, they were saying how they would harm you, how they would potentially kill you, and they were telling you to mind your own fucking business because they're still going to get theirs, which is how they phrase it. So this community within America is constantly hyper aggressive and always on guard. It's not healthy for this nation, which is why, as an emperor, I would reduce their population size greatly. It wouldn't be by massacring them, by the way. That's number one. That's a good way to be frowned upon and looked down upon when, historians write about you. But also, it's a bad look in terms of PR for the people who are alive today. So again, my main goal would be to send them back to where they belong, which is Africa.